Good evening, everyone. Today, I want to share with you a compelling case study, one that bridges anecdotal experience with hard biological science. A 60-year-old man came into my research circle. He wasn't a biohacker, an elite athlete, or a lifelong health nut. He was an average person who had worked behind a desk most of his life. He wasn't looking for superhuman strength or longevity miracles. He just wanted to feel normal again. Energy, sleep, motivation, libido, all declining. Sound familiar? Now here's where it gets interesting. He didn't go the pharmaceutical route. Instead, he tried a natural supplement. And what happened over the next 8 to 12 weeks, frankly, was both expected and surprisingly profound. Tongkat Ali, also known scientifically as Uricoma longifolia, is a traditional herbal remedy that has recently gained renewed attention in the scientific and wellness communities for its ability to modulate hormones, particularly testosterone. One of the primary mechanisms by which Tongkat Ali exerts its effects is by increasing free testosterone levels, which are the biologically active form of the hormone, without necessarily raising total testosterone. This distinction is critical. Many individuals, especially men over 50, may have normal or even high total testosterone levels on lab tests, but still experience symptoms of low testosterone. Why? Because a significant portion of their circulating testosterone is bound to sex hormone binding globulin, SHBG, rendering it unavailable to cells that rely on testosterone signaling. SHBG is a glycoprotein produced primarily in the liver, and its primary function is to bind sex hormones, including testosterone and estradiol, in the bloodstream. As we age, SHBG levels tend to rise, which means more testosterone is locked away and less is free to exert its effects on muscle, brain, and reproductive tissues. Tongkat Ali has been shown in both animal models and human studies to reduce SHBG levels, thereby increasing the ratio of free to bound testosterone. This mechanism appears to be central to the benefits reported by older adults who supplement with this extract. The active compounds in Tongkat Ali, particularly quasinoids like uricomanone, appear to act at multiple regulatory points. They not only reduce SHBG, but may also support luteinizing hormone, LH production, which signals the testes to produce more testosterone. However, it's the lowering of SHBG that is most relevant for aging men who already produce some testosterone but cannot utilize it efficiently due to binding. Increasing free testosterone can lead to improved strength, libido, cognition, and emotional resilience, all of which tend to decline with age and are commonly reported as restored or improved in users of Tongkat Ali. In one randomized, placebo-controlled human trial, men who took 200 mils of a standardized Tongkat Ali extract daily for 4 weeks experienced a statistically significant increase in free testosterone levels compared to placebo. Importantly, this occurred without major changes in total testosterone, reinforcing the hypothesis that the main effect is through modulation of SHBG. Additional studies have supported these findings, particularly in individuals with mild androgen deficiency or age declines in hormonal function. Furthermore, the supplement appears to do this without disrupting other aspects of endocrine balance, a key point when assessing safety and long-term viability. The increase in free testosterone is not just a number, it translates into physiological effects. Testosterone influences everything from red blood cell production to cognitive function. Free testosterone is especially important for androgen receptor activation, which governs gene expression linked to anabolic growth, metabolic efficiency, and mental drive. In aging men, increasing free testosterone often leads to a noticeable change in energy levels, exercise capacity, and mood stability. The cortisol to testosterone ratio is a key marker of hormonal balance, especially in the context of stress, recovery, and overall vitality. Cortisol is a glucocorticoid hormone produced by the adrenal glands in response to stress, both physical and psychological. It plays important roles in regulating metabolism, immune response, and circadian rhythm. However, chronically elevated cortisol, commonly seen in individuals under sustained stress, can have deleterious effects, particularly in its antagonistic relationship with testosterone. High cortisol suppresses testosterone production at multiple levels of the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal HPG axis. It also increases the activity of enzymes like aromatase, which convert testosterone into estradiol, further reducing available androgen levels. This is why individuals with high stress loads often experience low energy, diminished libido, poor recovery from exercise, and even depressive symptoms. Tongkat Ali has been studied for its capacity to modulate this delicate balance, particularly by reducing excessive cortisol while either maintaining or increasing testosterone levels. In this way, it shifts the cortisol to testosterone ratio in a favorable direction. A study published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition examined moderately stressed individuals who supplemented with a standardized Tongkat Ali extract, 200 mg/day, for 4 weeks. The results showed a significant reduction in salivary cortisol, up to 16%, and a simultaneous increase in testosterone levels by around 37%. On average. This shift in hormonal ratios is meaningful because it reflects a move from a catabolic breakdown state toward a more anabolic rebuilding state, which has implications for muscle preservation, mental clarity, immune health, and emotional stability. The mechanism by which Tongkat Ali reduces cortisol appears to involve modulation of the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HPA axis. This central stress responsive system governs the release of cortisol through a cascade that begins with corticotropin-releasing hormone, CRH, and ends with cortisol secretion by the adrenal cortex. Some of the bioactive compounds in Tongkat Ali, particularly uropeptides and quasinoids, appear to downregulate this axis, possibly by enhancing negative feedback sensitivity or acting directly on corticotropin-releasing neurons. As a result, baseline cortisol levels drop and reactivity to stress may be blunted. Lower cortisol not only benefits testosterone production, but also impacts mood and cognitive function. Chronically elevated cortisol has been associated with hippocampal shrinkage, impaired memory, and mood disturbances. By normalizing cortisol levels, Tongkat Ali may indirectly enhance cognitive performance, reduce anxiety, and promote a general sense of psychological well-being. Furthermore, the improvement in the cortisol to testosterone ratio enhances recovery from both physical and psychological stress. Athletes, for example, may experience better sleep, reduced muscle soreness, and faster return to baseline performance. Non-athletes may find improved energy regulation, less irritability, and more emotional resilience during the day. This hormone ratio is also deeply tied to sleep quality and circadian rhythm integrity. Elevated cortisol in the evening hours is one of the leading biomarkers associated with insomnia and sleep fragmentation. By supporting a healthier cortisol profile, high in the morning and low at night, Tongkat Ali may play a role in restoring a more natural sleep-wake cycle, which in turn supports testosterone synthesis that peaks during slow-wave sleep. Dopamine is a key neuromodulator in the brain responsible for regulating motivation, reward anticipation, goal-directed behavior, and drive. It plays a central role in the mesolimbic and mesocortical pathways, particularly in areas like the nucleus accumbens and prefrontal cortex. As we age or experience chronic stress, dopamine levels and receptor sensitivity can decline, leading to reduced motivation, apathy, lack of focus, and diminished pleasure in everyday activities. It is often described subjectively as a loss of drive or zest for life, even when other physiological markers seem within normal range. Enhancing dopamine signaling can therefore have profound effects on both psychological performance and overall quality of life. Tongkat Ali has demonstrated the ability to support dopamine levels and activity, making it of particular interest for those seeking natural ways to enhance motivation and mental energy. Several preclinical studies have explored the dopaminergic effects of Tongkat Ali. The root extract appears to act in part through its influence on the hypothalamus and the broader limbic system, which are rich in dopaminergic neurons. Some of its active compounds, including uricamenone, may influence the activity of tyrosine hydroxylase, the rate-limiting enzyme in dopamine synthesis. Additionally, animal studies have shown that Tongkat Ali supplementation increases dopamine concentration in the brain, especially in areas linked to sexual behavior and reward response. This may explain not only the reported increase in libido seen with Tongkat Ali, but also improvements in general mood, goal pursuit, and adherence to challenging tasks. In humans, the effects on dopamine are more difficult to measure directly due to the limitations of non-invasive neurochemical tracking. However, behavioral markers such as increased motivation to exercise, greater consistency in work output, enhanced mood stability, and improved focus all suggest an upregulation of dopaminergic tone. Dopamine also modulates other hormones, including testosterone, through its impact on the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. In fact, higher dopamine levels are associated with increased secretion of gonadotropin-releasing hormone, GnRH, which stimulates the cascade leading to testosterone synthesis. This reciprocal relationship between dopamine and testosterone may help explain the compound's multi-system benefits. In addition to its potential to increase dopamine synthesis, Tongkat Ali may also help protect existing dopamine neurons from oxidative stress. Chronic psychological stress and poor sleep can induce neuroinflammation and increase oxidative damage, particularly in dopaminergic circuits. Tongkat Ali has shown antioxidant and neuroprotective properties in rodent models, which may help preserve dopamine function over time. Furthermore, dopamine plays a significant role in effort-based decision-making, meaning that when dopamine levels are optimal, individuals are more willing to exert effort toward long-term goals, resist distractions, and maintain discipline, qualities that often diminish with aging or burnout. This improved dopaminergic signaling may also contribute to better resilience under pressure. Individuals who supplemented with Tongkat Ali have reported reduced anxiety, enhanced social confidence, and greater enthusiasm for daily tasks. While more research is needed to isolate the exact neurochemical pathways in humans, the convergence of animal data, mechanistic insights, and human behavioral outcomes strongly supports the conclusion that Tongkat Ali enhances dopamine activity in a way that is both sustainable and synergistic with other health benefits. One of the most intriguing and valuable effects of Tongkat Ali supplementation is its apparent ability to support and enhance sleep architecture, particularly by improving the depth and quality of slow-wave sleep. Sleep is a fundamental biological process governed by complex neurochemical interactions involving systems such as GABA, serotonin, melatonin, and orexin. As individuals age or experience chronic stress, the quality of sleep often deteriorates, and especially the deeper stages like slow-wave sleep, also known as deep non-REM sleep or stage N3. This phase of sleep is critical for physical restoration, memory consolidation, and the regulation of key hormones like growth hormone and testosterone, both of which are secreted in pulses during this phase. Shallow or disrupted slow-wave sleep can lead to fatigue, impaired cognition, mood instability, and even metabolic dysfunction. Tongkat Ali appears to influence sleep indirectly by modulating the hormonal and neuroendocrine environment that supports restful sleep. One of the primary mechanisms is through its ability to lower elevated cortisol levels, particularly in individuals dealing with chronic psychological or physical stress. High nighttime cortisol disrupts the normal circadian rhythm and inhibits both the onset and depth of sleep. By reducing evening cortisol levels, Tongkat Ali creates a more favorable hormonal landscape for sleep initiation and progression through the deeper stages of non-REM sleep. In addition, this improved cortisol profile helps restore the normal amplitude of the diurnal cortisol curve, allowing for a more distinct wake-sleep rhythm aligned with circadian biology. Another relevant factor is the supplement's effect on testosterone levels. Testosterone and its downstream metabolites have been linked to improvements in sleep efficiency and the consolidation of deep sleep, particularly in men. Several studies have shown that men with low testosterone often experience fragmented sleep and difficulty achieving restorative sleep cycles. By increasing free testosterone and improving the cortisol to testosterone ratio, Tongkat Ali supports the anabolic hormonal environment that promotes deeper and more continuous sleep. This hormonal support may be especially beneficial for older adults whose slow-wave sleep naturally declines with age. Additionally, Tongkat Ali's modulation of dopamine and GABAergic tone may play a role in its sleep-promoting properties. Dopamine, while often associated with alertness and motivation, also contributes to the regulation of sleep-wake transitions and REM architecture. Tongkat Ali's support for balanced dopamine activity may help maintain proper sleep cycling. GABA, the brain's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter, is essential for calming neural activity and facilitating the entry into sleep. Although Tongkat Ali is not classified as a sedative, some research indicates that its adaptogenic effects may reduce neural hyperexcitability, indirectly supporting GABAergic pathways and helping reduce the cognitive and physiological arousal that interferes with falling asleep. In human studies, participants taking Tongkat Ali reported improved subjective sleep quality, reduced time to fall asleep, and fewer nighttime awakening. These outcomes align with biomarker changes such as reduced nighttime cortisol and improved testosterone levels. While more detailed polysomnographic studies are needed to quantify specific sleep stage changes, the convergence of hormonal, neurochemical, and behavioral effects supports the hypothesis that Tongkat Ali enhances deep sleep physiology in a way that is both sustainable and restorative. Tongkat Ali has been shown to improve muscle strength and body composition, even in individuals who do not significantly alter their diet or exercise routine. This effect is particularly relevant in the context of age muscle decline, also known as sarcopenia, which typically begins in the 4th or 5th decade of life and accelerates with each passing year. Loss of lean muscle mass is associated with reduced metabolic rate, diminished physical function, increased insulin resistance, and a higher risk of injury. Preserving or rebuilding muscle mass is therefore a core objective for maintaining health span and functional independence in aging populations. Tongkat Ali appears to support this goal through a combination of hormonal, cellular, and metabolic mechanisms. One of the primary ways Tongkat Ali influences muscle composition is by increasing the availability of free testosterone, the active form of the hormone that binds to androgen receptors in muscle tissue and promotes protein synthesis. Testosterone enhances muscle hypertrophy by activating satellite cells, increasing nitrogen retention, and upregulating key signaling pathways such as mTOR, which governs cellular growth and repair. In studies where subjects supplemented with Tongkat Ali, improvements in lean body mass were often observed even in the absence of resistance training, suggesting that the hormonal environment created by the supplement alone was sufficient to stimulate anabolic processes. In addition to its androgenic support, Tongkat Ali may improve muscle performance by influencing cortisol levels. Chronically elevated cortisol contributes to catabolism, the breakdown of muscle protein for energy. By lowering cortisol and enhancing the cortisol to testosterone ratio, Tongkat Ali creates a physiological state more conducive to muscle preservation and growth. This balance is especially important in individuals exposed to psychological stress, overtraining, or sleep deprivation, all of which can impair muscle recovery. Tongkat Ali's adaptogenic properties help mitigate these stressors, indirectly supporting muscular health. Several clinical trials have validated these effects. In one study involving middle-aged men, daily supplementation with Tongkat Ali over 5 weeks resulted in increased muscle strength as measured by hand grip and leg press tests. Participants did not significantly change their exercise routines, and yet they experienced measurable gains in physical performance. In another trial involving older adults, the supplement improved both muscle mass and endurance parameters, suggesting that it supports both type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers, which are responsible for stamina and explosive strength, respectively. Moreover, Tongkat Ali may exert additional effects through the enhancement of mitochondrial function. Emerging research suggests that the supplement may improve energy metabolism at the cellular level, increasing ATP production and reducing oxidative stress within muscle tissue. This could lead to improved muscular endurance and a more favorable body composition, even in individuals who are not engaging in high-intensity physical training. Anecdotal reports and preliminary studies have also noted a reduction in fat mass, particularly visceral fat, which is metabolically harmful and associated with inflammation and insulin resistance. These changes in body composition appear to occur gradually and align with the natural rhythms of the endocrine system, rather than forcing rapid or unsustainable alterations in physiology. One of the most important considerations when evaluating any supplement, especially one that modulates hormones, is its safety and tolerability profile. Tongkat Ali, when used at clinically studied doses ranging from 200 to 400 milligrams per day, has demonstrated a strong safety record across multiple human trials. This dosage range is typically based on standardized extracts, often containing a minimum of 1% urocominone, which is one of the bioactive quasinoids believed to contribute to the supplement's physiological effects. The consistent findings across these studies suggest that Tongkat Ali exerts its effects through regulatory rather than disruptive mechanisms, meaning it supports and optimizes existing hormonal and neurological pathways rather than overriding or suppressing them. In double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trials, subjects who supplemented with Tongkat Ali for periods ranging from 4 to 12 weeks reported minimal adverse effects. The most commonly reported side effects, such as mild gastrointestinal discomfort or restlessness, were rare and typically resolved without intervention. Importantly, there were no significant changes in liver enzymes, kidney markers, or cardiovascular parameters such as blood pressure or heart rate in healthy adults. This indicates that within the effective dose range, Tongkat Ali does not place undue strain on the body's detoxification or circulatory systems, a critical point for long-term safety. The compound's ability to increase testosterone without disrupting other endocrine functions has also been a focus of investigation. Unlike exogenous testosterone therapy, which can lead to feedback inhibition of the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis and result in testicular shrinkage or infertility, Tongkat Ali appears to work upstream by supporting natural production mechanisms. It enhances luteinizing hormone signaling and reduces sex hormone binding globulin, both of which facilitate the availability and activity of endogenous testosterone. Because this support occurs within the body's own regulatory framework, the risk of hormonal imbalance or dependency appears to be significantly lower than with synthetic interventions. Animal studies conducted to test long-term toxicity have also provided reassuring results. Rodents administered high doses of Tongkat Ali extract for extended periods did not show signs of organ damage or behavioral abnormalities. These findings, while not a direct substitute for human data, support the general conclusion that the supplement has a wide therapeutic window and a low potential for toxicity when used appropriately. Additionally, genotoxicity and mutagenicity studies have returned negative results, suggesting that the extract does not pose a risk to DNA integrity or cellular function. For populations concerned about interactions with medications or pre-existing conditions, available data indicate that Tongkat Ali does not significantly affect cytochrome P450 enzyme activity at standard doses, reducing the likelihood of interference with pharmaceutical drug metabolism. Nevertheless, it is always recommended that individuals with medical conditions or those taking medications consult a healthcare provider before starting any new supplement. What sets Tongkat Ali apart is that it appears to restore function and balance rather than overstimulate, making it an attractive option for both younger and older individuals looking to optimize performance, mood, and hormonal health without introducing undue risk.